Every FIFA, there seems to be the age-old question, does chemistry matter? Should you be worried about chemistry? Is building chemistry actually worth the hassle? And whilst theoretically it's meant to make your players perform better, how better do they perform on full chem as opposed to little to no chem? Is there really a substantial difference? Well, I will be answering all of these questions today as I've conducted tests to get data and statistics to show whether or not chemistry does actually matter or not FIFA. So stay tuned as I'll be explaining the information I've gathered in full detail, which may actually change the way you play FIFA forever. So first of all, let's clear a misconception. If you're expecting to use a team with virtually no chemistry, then I have some bad news for you. That will not work. Trust me, I've gone through the trauma of actually trying it out and it's really bad. But before you click off this video, I urge you to keep watching. I personally promise you that the information I'm about to provide will be worth it for you and your dreams of using whatever player you want in whatever team you want. So for those of you that don't know what chemistry is, and after playing FIFA for many years, it seems to be quite a lot of people, it's essentially how well your team or players perform. For a team, the closer the team chemistry is to 100, the better they're supposed to perform. And for a player, the closer it is 10, again, the better they're supposed to perform. But today we'll be testing out whether the player's individual chemistry will have an impact on how they perform in the game. So before we actually get into the experiment, these are the rules that I'm applying to the test. So the teams around the player are full chemistry. This is because I found out that there are certain stats like passing where you can actually feel the chemistry or lack thereof. Number 2, all games will be played in Division 2 rivals. Number 3, I will be using Ben Yedder as my striker subject and playing 5 games with him on 3 chem and then 5 with him on 10 chem. And for my goalkeeper subject, I'm going to be using Pope. I'm going to be doing the same thing, playing 5 games with him on 3 and 5 games with him on 10. Additionally, in terms of the chemistry styles, I'm going to be using basic. I'm going to use a default chem style on both of those players. And some may argue that Ben Yedder has above average finishing at 88 on 10 chem and still quite high finishing of 87 on 3 chemistry, and you're not wrong. However, I would say at this stage of the game, 85 to 87 is the average finishing of a striker that you'd get on FIFA. Okay, so now we have all the logistics out of the way, let's just get started about the experiment. So the test started off by testing out the goalkeeper on 10 chem versus the keeper on 4 chem. For the goalkeeper, I chose Pope as he's quite cheap, therefore being affordable, yet he's quite meta. Also, Pope's stats aren't outstandingly great as compared to someone like Hugo Lloris, who still has above average reflexes and diving even on 3 chem. Therefore, I deemed Pope to be a worthy test subject. My thought process going into this experiment was that chemistry does actually matter, even for individual players, but we're going to find out if this thought process was right or wrong by the end of this video, so stay tuned. For the goalkeeper, the metrics that I used when determining whether they performed well or not were saves versus shots on target faced, goals conceded across the 5 games, and finally, probably the most accurate data for this test, the save success rate. This is the most accurate as Pope on 3 chem may face more shots than Pope on 10 chem. However, the save success rate provides a percentage of the shots saved from the shots on target faced. My intention for the goalkeeper test was not to win games, but rather to have as many shots against Pope as possible. Therefore, I did lose majority of the games I played in this. Here are the stats for the 10 chemistry Pope across the 5 games I played. Across 5 games, Pope faced 91 shots on target against him and managed to save 54 of them, leading to a save success rate of 59%. Conceding 37 goals in the process, meaning the opposition players had a goal conversion rate of 41% against Pope, which is respectable. He did make some silly mistakes, but errors like what you're seeing right now are things that have become a normality in FIFA. Now, moving on to the 3 chemistry Pope. Across 5 games played, he conceded 28 goals, which is 9 less than the 10 chemistry Pope. However, he did have a save success rate of 37.7% and saved 17 out of the 45 shots on target he had faced. Conceding 28 goals from 45 shots meant the opposition players had a 62% goal conversion rate against him, and whilst he did make some decent saves, a lot of the time I had to witness the following. So after the result of the goalkeeper test, you would probably think that the striker test would follow the same results, the 10 chemistry counterpart significantly outperforming the low chem count alternative. But what if I told you that it isn't as simple as that in the case of forwards? Let's dive into it. First, I tried out Ben Yedder on 10 chem to set the benchmark for the 3 chem Yedder, and across 5 games I ended up taking 49 shots, having 34 on target. Here are the shot charts for those games on the screen right now so you can see the distribution. It's also important to note that none of these shots were time shots, as that would be more a skill factor affect results. So instead I just did normal shots and finesse shots, no driven shots. Across these 5 games, 10K Mieta scored 16 goals, averaging an XG of 3.56, which, if you don't know what expected goals are, basically means based on his performance shooting wise, he was expected to score an average 3+ goals per game in those 5 games. I also took 12 shots from long range as part of the 49 shots, and out of those 12 long range shots, not timed again, 10K Mieta managed to get 8 out of those 12 on target. So to conclude, the stats of Ben Yedder on 10K after 5 games were as follows: 49 shots with 34 on target, which led him to have a shot accuracy of 69.38%, average XG of 3.56 across 5 games, 16 goals out of 34 shots on target, which led him to have a goal conversion rate of 47%, an average rating of 9.4 across those 5 games, and getting a perfect 10 rating in 3 out of the 5 games. And now we're going to talk about my experience with the 3K Mieta and how he performed for me across 5 games. After the performances of 3K Pope, I think it's safe to say my expectations were low for Ben Yedder on 3K. But boy was I wrong. Across 5 games, Ben Yedder on 3K managed the following stats. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you're going to think this is fishy, but this was purely, I did not mean for this to happen. He also took 49 shots with 34 on target, same as the 10K Mieta. Literally, ladies and gentlemen, this was not, I promise you, I did not make this up. This is just purely coincidental. And 3K Mieta averaged an XG of 3.54 across the 5 games, 19 goals of 34 shots on target, which was a 56% conversion rate, which is 9% higher than 10K Mieta. An average rating of 9.78 across those 5 games, and achieving a perfect 10 rating in 4 of the 5 games. Ladies and gentlemen, like I told you earlier, this honestly surprised me after the goalkeeper test. I thought this was going to follow the same route, but to my surprise, the 3K Mieta almost outperformed the 10K Mieta. Whilst there are still some aspects to the 3K Mieta which suggest that the lack of chemistry has affected him, such as his passing, we can see it didn't really affect his output that much. So in conclusion, to answer the question of does chemistry actually matter, yes it does. But you can use a player here and there, preferably forwards, and they won't perform as utter garbage